Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at daily routines in individuals and societies. So make sure that you've picked up a lesson packet from bin number 2 because we are on lesson 2. If you haven't done that, pause the video and go get one. If you have, then let's just write the learning target at the top that says, I can describe the routines needed to be successful in individuals and societies. All you need to add is the word routines. That's the focus that we have for today. All right, so let's look at materials needed. So there's 4 things that you need every day for class. First of all, it's your ring binder. And the reason you need a ring binder is because everything that we do in this class, I'm going to give you copies of the work for, and I'll always have a hole punch. So we're not using a notebook where it's all together. You're kind of making your own notebook. So keeping it in a ring binder keeps it organized, and it allows for the amount of papers that we're going to have to be stored pretty easily. You also need a Chromebook or a laptop, headphones, and something to write with. You can pause right now and just answer that question, why a binder with rings, if you didn't write it down as I was talking, or if you needed more time for that. Okay, class always begins with planning when you come through the door, okay? So the first thing that you're gonna do when you come through the door is check. You have a personal unit tracker that's on paper, and it's in your binder. So just write in the word binder there. But that's where you've checked off the day before, so you know exactly where you're gonna start when you get to class. The second thing that you can look at is the whole class tracker, the checklist thing that looks kind of like this that we did on the board. That's another way for you to tell. Now that's not always up, but that's also gonna tell you where you're at for the day. The class pacing tracker is digital, and that is on the board, so you can just write the board in there. Now, that tracker information is going to help you with the daily do now. Daily do now is you pick up on Monday, you save it, and you write every day on Friday, and it's got a couple of things. You're going to do 3 things every day on your do now. You're going to tell your pace. Are you current, catching up, or crushing it? This information will be on the board, so if you checked off that you finished lesson 1.1 and 1.2 and you're starting with lesson 1.3, up on the board it will say, oh, lesson 1 is current, or it'll say lesson 2 is current. So if lesson 1 was current, and you were on lesson 1, you were at 1.3, you would circle it, and you'd be current. And then you would write your goal for the day based on that. I want to finish lesson 1.3 and be ready for my mastery check. If we were on lesson 2 and that was current, you would be what's considered catching up because you're a little bit behind. That's okay, but you need to kind of note it and make a goal to help yourself. My goal is to finish lesson 1, and even if I need to do it for homework so that I can get caught up. And then crushing it is if you're ever really ahead. So let's say lesson 2 was the current lesson, and you were on the extend, then that would be crushing it because you're on the extend. All right, so make sure you write the 3 things every day and where you get your do now paper, and then we will move on to the next part of the notes. All right, so the next part of the notes is all about work time. There are 3 slides you're gonna see about work time. We're starting with where it says lesson packets. So they're found in those bins. So that's the second bullet point. So just put a star by where it says important. Make sure you have the lesson packet that matches, circle the word matches, the lesson you are on. So you want to make sure that in these bins next to the closet, that if you're on lesson 2, you actually got the lesson packet out of the lesson 2 bin. If you accidentally went to the lesson 1 bin, it's not going to match what you're learning in Schoology. Okay, and then that takes us to Schoology. So the first bullet point says lesson directions are always found in Schoology. So make sure you write in the word Schoology. That is your go-to. That's where you're going to find everything. Each lesson has, sorry about that, you guys. Each lesson has a folder. So the lesson 1 folder contains all of the information for lesson 1. The lesson 2 folder contains all of the information for lesson 2. So 1.1 is the first thing, 1.2, 1.3 when you open the folder, and it just goes in order. So you're going to base that on your goal for the day. So put in the word goal. That's what you're doing for the day. Now, it's also in a calendar, so you can that can help you with your goal as well. If you notice here, this is old, but it says lesson 1 was due on Monday. Ours is not, so don't panic, but just that would be to help you to set your goal. You do complete most of your activities in order. Okay, lastly, for this thing, for work time, just listen, just jot down 2 or 3 activities that you might be doing. These are some things that you could be doing during work time. You're either going to be watching a brief instructional video and taking notes. You might be working in a small group on a game or a mini project or some kind of discussion. You might be getting feedback from your teacher. You might be reading something and annotating. You might be checking your work with an answer key to make sure you understand. Or you might be taking a mastery check. So these are a few of the things that you are responsible for doing at work time, but you need to make sure that you're on task so that everybody gets a chance to learn what they need to learn at their pace. All right, so that's work time. At the end of class, we always have a wrap up. So there's 3 things you do at the end of class. First is clean up. Close your Chromebooks, put your headphones away, put your supplies away. Secondly, update both trackers, okay? So you check off at the front board what you finished, but you also check off and make sure the learning target is in your personal pacing tracker, the paper one, okay? Then you go back and sit at your table and wait for the last wrap up and dismissal. And we always have some sort of wrap up, so you always go back to your table. So that's how we end class. All right, your general expectations are you're going to use your time wisely. You'll be respectful of everyone's learning space. If you have questions, you can ask questions and keep that growth mindset. So just work hard and stay focused. All right, so now we've got an answer to the question. There are 3 questions on your note page. You are going to get a sticky note from the supply card at the front. You're only going to choose one of those questions to answer on the sticky note. So pick one, answer it on the sticky note, and then you're going to go out into the Colab space and you're going to see a chart. Put the answer to your question that matches the actual question that you answered on the